I was 59 when I walked out the door. No plan, no map, just a suitcase, a tired heart, and the kind of silence that follows you when your life has gone too quiet for too long. This is not a dramatic story. There were no shouting matches, no big betrayals, just the slow erosion of a life I no longer recognized. But maybe that's what makes it worth telling, because sometimes the quiet stories are the ones that change us the most. Part 1. The life I built. I married young. 22, bright-eyed, full of plans that never made it past the front porch. My husband Dave was kind in the beginning, not passionate, not poetic, but steady, reliable. We bought a house in a quiet neighborhood, had 2 kids, a golden retriever named Charlie. From the outside, it looked good, and for a while I told myself that good was enough. But year by year, something inside me dimmed. Not all at once, not loud, just slowly. I stopped reading, stopped singing in the car, stopped dreaming about what was next, because next became laundry, bills, grocery runs, retirement plans, and being the peacekeeper between a husband who didn't listen and kids who barely noticed. No one was cruel, no one hit, but there's more than one way to disappear in a marriage, and I had been fading for years. Part 2. The moment everything shifted. It happened on a Thursday. Of course it did. Nothing exciting ever happens on a Thursday. I was folding towels, the same blue ones we'd had for 20 years, and I noticed they were fraying, not just at the edges, but all over, threadbare. I don't know why it hit me like it did, but I sat down on the laundry room floor and cried, not loud sobs, just a quiet, aching release, because I realized I was just like those towels, useful, familiar, slowly worn out, but no one noticed, not even me. That night I laid in bed next to Dave, staring at the ceiling. He didn't ask me what was wrong. He hadn't in years, and that silence was louder than anything he could have said. Part 3. Walking away. 3 weeks later, I packed a single suitcase. I left a note on the kitchen counter. It said, "Don't worry, I'm safe. I just need to remember who I am." No drama, no revenge, just a quiet departure. I booked a small cabin up north. A friend of a friend owned it, wasn't using it for the season. It smelled like pine and old wood. The furniture didn't match, and I had to light a fire every night to stay warm. But it was the first place in decades where I could hear myself think. The first morning, I sat on the porch and watched the mist rise over the trees. I didn't check the time. I didn't answer to anyone. I just sat and breathed. At first, the silence was terrifying, like standing in a room with someone you've disappointed, except that someone was me. But day by day, that silence turned into space, then into possibility. And if this moment means something to you, if you've ever needed silence just to hear yourself again, please tap the like button, subscribe for more stories like this one, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next story. Part 4. Remembering who I was. I found an old notebook in a drawer. Started writing again. Nothing fancy. Just memories, dreams, questions I had buried under years of errands and compromise. I walked in the woods every afternoon, watched the seasons shift in slow motion. One day, I met an old woman on the trail. Her name was Maggie, 83, sharper than anyone I'd known. We sat on a bench and talked for 2 hours. She told me, "Regret isn't about what you did. It's about what you never gave yourself permission to do." That sentence lived in my chest for weeks, because she was right. I had given myself to a family, a marriage, a role, but I had never asked what I wanted. And now, At 59, I was finally listening. I wasn't looking to be young again. I just wanted to be alive again. And that's a very different thing. Part 5. Facing the Consequences. Of course, the world didn't stay quiet forever. My daughter called after 2 weeks. She was angry, confused, hurt. "How could you just leave, Mom?" And I told her the truth. Because if I didn't leave now, I never would. It wasn't easy. She thought I was being selfish. Maybe I was. But selfishness is a strange word when you've spent your whole life living for others. Dave didn't call. He sent a single email that said, "I hope you find what you're looking for." I cried when I read it, not because it was cruel, but because it was so final. I mourned that marriage, not for what it was, but for what it never became. Some endings don't come with closure, only understanding, and that has to be enough. Part 6. Life After. I stayed in that cabin for 6 months, wrote every day, cooked simple meals, listened to my thoughts like they were old friends I hadn't seen in years. When spring came, I found a small apartment near a bookstore. Started working part-time, nothing fancy, just enough to pay the rent and buy tea. Sometimes I see couples walking by and feel a pang of something. Maybe sadness, maybe relief. I don't know if I'll fall in love again. But I know now that love shouldn't cost you yourself. And I've learned that freedom doesn't always look like travel or money. Sometimes it looks like waking up and deciding how you want your day to go. Final thoughts. I don't tell this story to convince anyone to leave their marriage or start over at 59. That's not the point. The point is this: you are allowed to change, even late in life, even when the world tells you to stay put, to stay quiet. You are allowed to listen to the small voice inside you, the one that whispers, "There's still more. You haven't lived it all yet." Leaving everything behind didn't make my life easier, but it made it mine, and sometimes that's the most powerful thing a person can do. So if you're sitting there today, quietly folding towels, quietly disappearing, know this: it's not too late. Not for joy, not for change, not for you. And if this story meant something to you, please hit the like button, subscribe for more stories like this one, and tap the bell so you won't miss the next whisper of wisdom. Because somewhere out there, someone else is ready to begin again too. Maybe that someone is you.